Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Corliss,
Here.
Halliburton,
Here.
Morales,
Here.
Nash,
Here.
Stead,
Here.
Willett,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. We've got some minutes up.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to amend the agenda first.
Oh, okay.
I move that we approve the amended agenda that adds the item for an executive session.
Oh, thank you. Second. Motion a second, clerk?
Corliss. Yes. Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willett,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
And next up, we've got minutes.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the minutes for the work session regular meetings of December 10th, 2024.
Second. Motion a second, clerk?
Corliss. Yes. Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willett,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
And now the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. Clerk?
Corliss,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willett,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. We've got an ordinance on first, second, and third reading.
Madam Mayor, I move that all rules of the council interfering with the immediate consideration of ORD 35-24 be suspended, that the portions of Idaho Code 50-902 requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days, twice by title and once in full, be dispensed with, that the records show it has been read the 3rd time in full.
Second. We have a motion, a second, clerk?
Corliss,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willett,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries. ORD 35-24, an ordinance amending Boise City Code, Title I, Chapter 6, Section 2, to clarify council president duties in the absence of the mayor. Boise City Code, Title I, Chapter 6, Section 3, to add fiscal year 2026 through 2031 salaries for mayor and city council, to increase the daily amount paid to a city council member for acting as mayor, providing for a waiver of the reading rules, and providing an effective date of January 1, 2025.
Madam Mayor, I move that ORD 35-24 be approved.
Second.
Madam Mayor, I actually moved to make a substitute motion.
All right. In order to make a substitute motion. Oh, yeah. Are you requesting permission to make a substitute motion?
Correct.
Okay.
But I need a second.
Second.
All right. We've got a motion and a second.
And Madam Mayor, before the vote's called, I just want to remind everybody that this is not a vote in favor of another motion. It's just a vote to hear what the other motion would be.
Yes. Okay. Clerk?
Corliss,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willett,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Madam Mayor, I move that the staff come back to council at the next available meeting with an amended motion that would reflect everything stated in this ordinance, but with salaries that represent 3% base increases every single year and an additional 6% cost of living adjustment in 2026 and an additional 1% cost of living adjustment in 2027. In total, that would represent a 9% increase in 2026, a 4% increase in 2027, and 3% increases in years 2028 through 2031. And if I can get a second, I can explain why updating these numbers is necessary.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, in a council work session a couple weeks ago, I outlined a plan that would align council and mayor salaries with the base increases and cost of living adjustments we gave to staff over the last 6 years. While their salaries and the intentions of the raises I included in the council memo and during the work session were correct, during the meeting, I incorrectly stated that the first year would have a 6% base adjustment in addition to a 3% raise. And council member and council mayor would see every year for a total of 9%. So instead of saying the 12% that it actually was, I incorrectly stated 9%, and that was a misreading on my part. And I think the actual number, it was 12.8%. So I think that there was some confusion around that statement, and I was off by a little over 3%. I own that, but I want to make sure that I state that the intentions of leveling up with the cost of living that we had offered staff and the actual numbers that were in the salaries in the ordinance were correct. I understand now that there are concerns of offering an over 12% raise in a 1-year period of time. And so the motion that I brought forward to you just a second ago no longer attempts to align council and mayor salaries with staff base increases. Instead, it proposes to align council and mayor salaries with the original intention of the 2019 ordinance that approved 3% raises between 2020 and 2025. As a reminder, council amended these down to 0% in 2020, followed by 2% in the remaining years due to COVID, averaging 1.7% per year rather than the 3% that we'd actually intended in that 2019 ordinance. The motion aligns salaries with that original goal. And here's why, and it does that in a couple of ways. It does that by doing 3% increases every single year. These are base increases, every single one of those 6 years. And in addition, it does 6% cost of living adjustment the first year, and a 1% cost of living adjustment in the second year. Again, in total, that means 9% the first year, 4% the next year, 3% the rest of the way through. And I did that for a couple reasons. One, some input from Councilmember Corliss to spread those raises out a little bit more over time, offering a better opportunity to kind of balance that budget and not put it all in 1 year, but still achieving that original goal, and just not doing it in the original year intended. And the reason why I think it's important that we do this, and not the motion that we heard earlier today, is that during the highest cost of living increases in Boise in the last several decades, the mayor and council averaged a 1.7% salary increase each year. Our HR, our finance departments work extremely hard to measure the salaries we need to offer to retain and recruit staff. And they use cost of living evaluations, consumer price index, inflation, all sorts of methods to make sure that we get these numbers right every single year. And if they don't evaluate those continually, what happens is salaries fall further and further behind, and eventually a significant base increase is needed to get them back on track. And it's hard for the city to do that all at once in the budget. Because the council only approves council and mayor salaries every 5 years, we can't make those continuous cost of living adjustments. And sometimes, not always, you see bigger base adjustments to get things back on track when we do that every 5 years. So for example, other government agencies in Idaho, you see the legislator asking for 19% wage increases, a 16% increase over 2 years that was offered to the mayor of Meridian. Spokane and Salt Lake City saw larger than that increases over the last 2 years. Currently, both of those cities, smaller size, are making more than our current mayor is here. But they realized that if they didn't adjust the cost of living now, during this time where cost of living rose so much, they would have a massive adjustment that they would have to do 5 years from now. So whatever we approve today, it won't go into effect until after next election in 2026. So some of us, including myself, may not actually even benefit from these raises. But the reality is that we have to take care of this problem now, because if we don't, the salaries will continue to go out of alignment with cost of living, and that will affect future councils and future mayors down the road. And Councilmember Morales, you and I had a conversation about this. At some point, you and I will no longer be on this council. And one of the things that I want to make sure is that it's a position that's sustainable for other people going forward. And if we don't raise and meet the cost of living standards to do that, the position continues to fall further and further behind. So I really look at this as an organizational responsibility to make sure that we offer this not only for ourselves if we're still here, but for future councils. Otherwise, 5 years from now, another council is going to have to make an even larger increase to try to get things back where they need to be. That's a lot of talking, but that's my motion, is to ask staff to bring back an ordinance that's worded the way that it was worded this time as far as the council president and clearing those aspects up. But instead of reflecting the 6,333, it reflects a 9% in 2026, a 4% in 2027, and 3% for the rest of the years to get things back on track with what was intended in the 2019 ordinance.
Any further discussion? Right, clerk?
Corliss,
Yes.
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
No.
Stead,
No.
Willetts.
No.
3 in favor, 3 opposed. Motion fails. Madam Mayor, would you like to cast your vote?
What?
You casting a vote?
Do I break the tie? Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
So now,
At the next available
I
meeting,
wasn't expecting this, so
at the
we
next
have-
available meeting, council would come and it would list what the salaries would be, the exact amounts over the next 6 years, starting in 2026, reflective of those percentages that I just outlined.
sure. But is there a motion on, how do I deal with the motion? It's,
The original motion has died.
okay, all right. So the reading is done. Okay.
Yes, and at next council meeting, it can be brought for first, second, and third. So I might ask for that point of clarification also.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Yep, Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
would be asking for that to come in for second and third reading, similar to what we saw today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we have an executive session. Oh, no, we have a purchasing brief. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Hello, how are you? So this is a purchasing brief on intake screens. And I'm sorry, sir, I don't have a script up here, so I don't have your name. Would you please introduce yourself?
No worries.
I
My name
hate
is-
not being able to do that since you haven't been up here before.
No worries. My name is Josh Baker. I am the program manager at the Lander Street Water Renewal Facility. Part of my duties is also over our phosphorus removal facility out near Parma.
Thank you.
and-
Those are great facilities, so thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Today, I'm bringing before you a purchasing brief. It's an award decision for the phosphorus removal facility intake screens. Per the local business preference ordinance, this process is required when the lowest bidder for the purchasing of equipment is from outside the metropolitan area, and the city received a bid from a local supplier also. As a part of our formal bid process, we received 2 bids, one from outside of the local metropolitan area, the other from within. Those 2 bids were in the council packet, the memo that went to you all. And what we are asking for today is your recommendation, your motion on which of the 2 bids to accept. The staff recommends that we go with the lowest bidder, the Hendrick Screen Company, which is from outside the local metropolitan area. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We have some folks from purchasing here also, if you have purchasing specific questions.
Madam Mayor, I move that the award for FB 2024-112 go to Hendrick Screen Company.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second discussion. All right, thank you. Clerk,
Thank
please
you.
call the roll.
Corliss,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead,
Yes.
Willetts. 5 in favor, 1 opposed, or 5 in favor, 1 absent.
Oh, did we lose Lucy? Oh, she might have jumped for executive. Whoops, we probably lost Councilmember Willets because I said we were moving into executive session. And now she's, all right, let's take that motion really quick so we can join Lucy.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss pending and probable litigation pursuant to Idaho Code Section 74-206 1F.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. Clerk?
Corliss,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Stead.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
And this is the last item on the agenda, so we'll be adjourning at the end of exec.